A question we are here with is, what can African consciousness and African culture bring to us in doing human better? The 5 or 6 of us are developmental practitioners in our each distinct way. So I'll invite others now to take a minute to say some words about themselves and the work you do, how your work relates to our intentions for this conversation.
I'm Vusi Vilagati, based in Johannesburg, and I am an African consciousness researcher, leadership consultant, and learning and development practitioner. My work spans in a number of kind of sectors that I've consulted in, and I've also, in my life, served as a priest in a religious community. So the intersections of values and humanity and thinking about how we change society in ways that collective and organized around shaping better human beings are core to my well-being and my thinking and movement.
My name is Luvuyo Matasa. I'm the executive director at Reimagine SA. It's a public benefit organization focused on finding ways of working with various different actors in society to drive engagements that are rooted in Ubuntu and African wisdom that enhances the quality of each citizen's life and looks to unlock the potential of each person we engage with. I've been for some years intrigued by how the international community interacts not only with South Africans in the urban areas, but also impacts the lives of people in our far-flung rural and underdeveloped communities.
I am an organizational development practitioner. I was working for an organization called Mandala Consulting based in Johannesburg as well. The director of business development for the company, but I see myself mostly as a group process facilitator, and I assisted with the previous Integral African Conference, putting it all together, and again with this second one, we are very excited to be hosting it in Africa once again this year.
I'm the founding member and CEO of the Integral African Institute, which we are developing and growing, and of the coaching center. Also with Dumi, founder member of the Ubuntu Coaching Foundation. And I need to say something about how we see coaching. For us, coaching has been an interesting intersection in which I and my colleagues and faculty have developed a program that we've been running for now nearly 21 years of humaning better, of how do we human better, how do we work. I work in the same spaces as all of you that have mentioned, the relational spaces and the organizational space, but in helping individuals and teams and cultures shift in a way of living in that relational space and being able to have the conversations that matter, and the conversations which say, I see you in the real expression of Sawubona, and all that you are and have been and will become. Bringing that interface between these splits in the world into a place where we can kind of live more through the heart and the soul.
To say a few words about myself, I serve as the president of Meridian University. This is a graduate-only university with programs in psychology, education, and business. We think of all of our programs in one way or another as educating developmental practitioners. Approaching the education of developmental practitioners by integrating informational learning, which happens at graduate schools, but in this case, integrating informational learning with transformative learning. So launching then into our conversation and the underlying question, which Luvuyo and others pointed to in the phrase, doing human better. We are struggling as a species, at least at the level of the system world. There is deep crisis. Not all local worlds are in crisis, but most are. And Vusi, if you could give us our departure point in terms of the value of African consciousness, African culture, how might we draw on it to do human better?
I think there's a number of strands, and in Southern Africa there's the wonderful concept of Ubuntu. Petty has made reference to that, which is a collection of values. I mean, itself. If you go to the east, you could be talking about Ujamaa, which is a cooperative economics view of life. And then those that want to go to some of the earliest African empires, they could derive Mat and Sakomfa as way of having dialogue about what it means to be human together. In by and large, in the African psyche and the ways in the cosmology, there are many connections. There's an ecosystemic view of the world that connects tightly with integral thoughts, that connects tightly with some of the thinking that is behind the conference. So the invitation for me, if I were to say, if you look at the base of all of these values, there is solidarity, there is humanness, there is a common belonging, there is a shaping of a world where the resources and the people, the individual, the community, the team in a boardroom, and whoever else can latch onto these values to begin to think about what does it mean to do this community of being in relationship with each other and with the resources of the world in a better way, where every human being can flourish. I think at the heart of it, for me, that is it. I often summarize it as, we think about what is hurting Africa. If you think about that, you are conscious about Africa's needs. And then you think about what are the cries in Africa's heart. And you think about all of the things that Africa is yearning for. And how do you live to deliver those hopes in Africa's hearts? So I often would summarize it that way when I have conversations. But I think it's for me, what is Africa crying for? And the answer to that is the values that underpin the humanity that you can be together. And we start here and flourish across the world.
So on this journey of togetherness and the fact that we could do that better, that we could do togetherness better, we see this term solidarity actually is not used that much in most contexts. What does it feel like? What does it look like if the five of us were to deepen our solidarity, even in this moment? What would that look like?